Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome back to the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series Season 6, Daytona Speedweek. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Gatorade Duels here at Daytona, and this time around, the duels are going to be a little different. Duel number 1 is going to be run during the daytime. Duel number 2 is going to be run during the nighttime, both 15 laps. And of course, as you know, this race is to determine the actual starting lineup for the Daytona 500 and to see if the front row qualifiers for this season, Joshua Sekuli and Dylan Jacobs, can survive, stay on track in order to keep their spots. Otherwise, they're going to have to start in the back. And joining me for this amazing escapade, please welcome rookie Cole Baker.
Hello, great to be here.
Glad to have you aboard here in this series finally after so long,
Yeah,
and you're part of quite a big rookie class this season, featuring newcomers and other legends from other series that are debuting here. What's it feel like to be in the same rookie class with guys such as Michael Norman, etc.?
yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking. There's definitely a lot of talent here, but you just kind of stay focused and in the moment, and hopefully you can pull something off that's better than the other rookies. So yeah, just excited.
And not to mention making a big leap, being a co-owner of a team along with Jake Baskinger, so that's another big thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So, without further ado, duel number 1 is all the drivers that qualified on the inside line during Daytona 500 qualifying yesterday, which is why we have Joshua Sekuli starting up front here. But, of course, the key to this race is to survive, but for drivers that are not Joshua Sekuli, they're going to try and win so that way they can start third in the Daytona 500 or possibly get the pole if Sekuli ends up out of the race. And it could happen, but we'll just see what happens. And without further ado, let's get the command to start engines for duel number 1 here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
Went a little over that time, but nonetheless. So with this race, there's going to perhaps be some alliances going on because as I looked at the starting lineup, 3 out of the 5, ironically, Baker Baskinger racing cars are in this race. Baker, but also Emmanuel Hartnett and Carson Gum, but they're all starting in completely different places. Carson in 4th, Baker in 11th, and then Hartnett all the way back in 19th. So they're going to have a lot of work ahead in order to try and work together and potentially try and get their way up here. But even also at that, a couple of other teammates from different teams, such as Average Joe Enterprises, with Logan Bradley, Melissa Alexander, and Caleb Kilburn. But then again, your friends are where you find them here at places like Daytona, Talladega, etc. As we're in turns 3 and 4, we're getting closer and closer to getting this race underway. Now, of course, from the preview of what we've seen with this brand new package we're running here at Daytona and Talladega or any other restrictor plate style racetrack, at least here at Daytona, if you're running the bottom, you may touch that double yellow line, but if you're 3 wide on the very outside, you might scrape the wall a little bit off of turn 2, but we'll see how that plays out today. And boogity, 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 let's go racing!
Wow, great start for the 10 car there.
And immediately clears Kyle Matthews, which opens the door for rookie Jordan Forbes in the 77 Yoshi Toyota for Kamikaze Racing, with help from Phil Parker in the 00. And right there was a little example of what I was talking about. If you're 3 wide running the very outside, you may scrape that safer barrier a little bit off of turn 2, but it doesn't really affect them all that much. They're still able to keep up. It's just a matter of how much room they're trying to give to the guys underneath. And it looks like Sekuli will lead the first lap, but basically all his objective is just to stay on the racetrack.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's trying to cover all bases there, going from top to middle to bottom, and vice versa.
And look at the run with teammates working together. Cody Lamas and Chris Dollarton out of Backmarker Motorsports working together as Lamas takes the lead and moves up, and Dollarton moves up along with him. Meanwhile, in the middle, two Baker-Baskinger Racing teammates working together. Cole Baker, Emmanuel Hartnett, but James Shelley, another Backmarker Motorsports car, is up here, and he started dead last, already up to second within 2 laps. James Qualls right now running the first car on the inside, at least now until Lamas decided to block that lane. And look at the run Qualls has got. James Qualls going to the lead now, with help from teammate Charles Sanford right behind. And I actually forgot to mention this too, but in duel number 1 here, both Melissa Alexander and Joey Parkhill right there, right up here at the front, both teammates but also a married couple, and they're trying to work together to get up here. But look at how high the 99 went, almost into the wall, but keeping it together, which is impressive. Oh, he got the wall a little bit there. Slowed down the momentum of that outside line. Yes, he carried a little too much speed up there trying to give room. And now he's paying for it as he continues to lose spots. Back up here at the front, Phil Parker making it 3 wide for the lead. Couple more cars scraping the wall off of turn 2, but that's to be expected at this point. And here comes former Daytona 500 winner Kyle Matthews, who knows how to win here and win this prestigious race. He's now found his way up here to the lead with help from Johnny Gardner. But look at Emmanuel Hartnett. Like I said, as long as you find friends, you can work your way up to the front in no time. As Hartnett, from what I said, he started 19th. Finds himself up here 3 wide, about to take the lead. As they're 3 wide pretty much every single row, at least until you get to Dollarton back there. Whoa, Matthews got the wall a little harder than some others have so far. Joshua Collard, right now running the middle as he's about to get passed by James Shelley in the 71, as right now Hartnett leads. Right behind him is Jessica Shelton. And wow, the dive that the 02 just went on, trying to take the lead through the middle. Got to lead that lap, but here comes Shelley back at it. So Baker, thoughts on the action we're seeing so far with this brand new package we're running for Daytona?
Yeah, the interesting thing I'm seeing here towards the front is how we always get these 3-car breakaways, and then the pack slowly comes back, and the inside line's been pretty dominant. As we see, oh, that was quite the move there. I can't tell what number that car was. It was the 18 of Cole Baker, believe it or not. Yeah, it looks like James Qualls is now peeking to the inside of this group of 3 cars here.
Yeah, and Joshua Sekuli, the current pole sitter, back up here in second, as shockingly enough, everybody's keeping it clean and green, which is interesting considering, if I remember, when we ran the Bud Shootout just a couple nights ago, there was no caution, and we haven't had, other than perhaps one solo car spin with Zachary Fitzwater during Daytona 500 qualifying yesterday, we haven't had any major accidents so far here in Daytona Speedweek. As right now, the front 4 are starting to kind of pull away a little bit from everyone else, but like Cole said, you can get that little breakaway, and then a lap later, the whole pack will be right up there swarming at you. As right now, Carson Gum hanging on to the race lead, as Melissa Alexander with a run to the inside of Charles Sanford to try and take second, as Jordan Forbes went below the double yellow line, but still keeps a spot. That is until Seth Cole decides to pop in and give him a black flag. And look at this! I was expecting this to happen at some point, but the married couple of Melissa and Joey working together to get up to the front. People are going to think rigged, but whatever. As right now it's Melissa leading, but she opens the door for her husband Joey to come underneath, both running Zev Bellringer paint schemes because, as I've mentioned, they're both big fans of this woman just like me, which is awesome. But now Joey Parkhill with the run to the inside. But I bet he liked to go inside of Melissa some other way. That was terrible, I know, but whatever. Comedy, guys! But nonetheless, right now Melissa with the big advance because she's getting that big push from Jordan Forbes, which keeps her up here at the front ahead of the 26. But Johnny Gardner still, he's been slowly peeking his way up here into the top 3. Just hasn't been able to make a move, but now he's about to go 3 wide for the lead. Holy crap, imagine if that was the finish. That would have been fantastic. But Gardner now, huge block, and is going to take the race lead, at least for the time being. Less than 6 to go here in duel number 1.
Another car I'm seeing is the 20 of Emmanuel Hartnett coming back up, resurfacing from the bottom of the group back up to the pack, and he's already battling. Looks like the 26 car as he gets shoved up into the middle. But look at Jessica Shelton now on the inside trying to peek for first.
And she's about to get help from teammate James Qualls, which is good cooperation among the Retro Racing Enterprise teammates, at least until Qualls decides to try and take the lead for himself. And you can tell right there that right side scrapes are definitely a result from getting the wall off of turn 2 that perhaps so many others have had, but we just haven't been able to visibly see anyone else other than Qualls with that kind of damage. But it doesn't hinder them because they're just barely touching it and still maintaining pack speed, which is impressive. As Jake Rogers, look at him come up to the front, the runner-up in the championship last season, now takes the lead. Cole Baker in second and Joshua Sakuli right behind in third, as we're getting ready to come to 4 to go here in the duel number 1. Rogers hanging on strong. Got a little bit of a gap between himself and second place. But here comes Sakuli, the pole sitter currently for the Daytona 500. He's one to perhaps sweep. Oh, we're under caution. But I don't see anybody spun. What in the world's going on? We are apparently under caution, but no one's wrecked.
Debris on the track.
Yeah, that happens all the time at Texas, but not here. I have no idea what NNSCRA officials are thinking. But I guess under caution, it looks like duel number 1's going to end under caution, most likely. So, looks like Jake Rogers is going to most likely win duel number 1 as a result of a phantom caution for absolutely no reason. Not sure what NNSCRA officials were thinking because nobody wrecked. Perhaps, I guess, because maybe a piece of debris came off of a car as they hit that turn 2 wall, but even at that, it shouldn't equate a caution because you clearly don't see it. But I guess that's going to do it for duel number 1, as Jake Rogers looks like he's going to win. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to get to off of turn 4, the white flag lap. So we'll be right back. So we're coming off of turn number 4 to take the checkered flag, as this race unfortunately ended under caution. We had a phenomenal race, and I was hoping we would have gotten a classic finish, but because of phantom caution, we ain't going to get that, and we're taking the checkered flag now. Jake Rogers wins Gatorade Duel number 1 and is going to start 3rd in the Daytona 500. Congratulations to that new upstart team of JR Empire Motorsports, getting their first win at, well, then again, it's not in points, but you get the idea. But Jake Rogers going to start 3rd in the 500, and let's look at the rest of the results. Joshua Sakuli's going to stay safe running on the pole, starting on the pole. for the Daytona 500. But Jordan Forbes finishing strong in the 3rd position. Logan Bradley with a solid performance in 4th. And then James Shelley finishing in 5th. Phil Parker in 6th. Charles Sanford 7th. Carson Gum 8th. Joshua Collard 9th. And then Emmanuel Hartnett in 10th. And then the rest of the top 20s you see, and then it looks like currently starting in the final row right now is Kyle Matthews, so he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him in the Daytona 500 tomorrow. But thank you for watching Duel number 1. Stick around. We're getting set for Duel number 2. But before we get there, here are your final results of Duel number 1, and we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Gatorade Duels. We are now at Duel number 2, featuring the outside line qualifiers from qualifying yesterday, where we're going to determine the outside lane for the Daytona 500. Levi McIntyre, yours truly, back along with Cole Baker.
Hello.
And we're getting set for 15 more laps, but this time we're running in nights, so it's going to be interesting to see how the cars react, considering Duel 1 was ran during the day where it was a little bit slick. But since we're under dark skies, there's going to be a little more grip for these drivers to work with. So we'll see how the racing turns out here. And hopefully we don't get a phantom caution like Duel number 1. But I doubt we're going to get that. We'll see what happens, though. But so the starting lineup for Duel number 2, of course, Dylan Jacobs, who qualified 2nd for the Daytona 500, the defending series champion. If he can survive and stay on track and not go into the garage, he'll get to keep his 2nd starting spot. But this race is to determine who's going to start 4th in the Daytona 500 as well as the rest of the outside. And we might have a scenario where Dylan Jacobs could get wrecked and out of the race, and the winner of this race will get his 2nd place starting spot. Anything can happen, of course, with these kinds of places. So let's get the command to fire engines for Duel number 2. Here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines.
Everybody rolling on the track for their pace lap around here, so this is going to be interesting because less rookies in this race. In Duel number 1, there were quite a bunch of rookies, but here we got less rookies and more veterans, so this is going to be quite an interesting duel race right here with more established names. But of course, one rookie who shouldn't really be considered a rookie, but this is his first season in this series, and that's Michael Norman, because as I've stated, this is the first time he's raced in any series on this channel in a couple of years, so this is his grand return. We'll see if he can somehow pull it off and win Duel number 2, or could we see a very relative newcomer in Bradley Zorgdrager running that 66 Dying Fetus car, because Dying Fetus is one of his favorite bands, and yeah, I don't blame them. They're a good band if you like total tech death. But aside from that, we're going to see quite a few alliances here. You got Sega Motorsports represented with the 1 and the 15, and also Michael Norman Motorsports with the 3 and the 8. And they're both teams are affiliated with one another, kind of like Joe Gibbs and Furniture Row back in the day. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. Pace car in the pit road. And ladies and gentlemen, boogity, 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 let's go racing again.
There is one thing that I've noticed. It looks like that inside line, especially the front row, always gets the better start, but it doesn't look like the 78 has much help, as the outside line's going to blow right past him here.
I don't know. We'll see how that happens, because here comes the 66 of Zorgdrager. But he's actually going to leave the 78 hanging as the 78 goes up to the outside to block. But let's see if the 66 can get the run going into 3 here. And doesn't quite. The 78 shut the door on him. And here comes James McLeod in the 51. James McLeod in the 51. I actually forgot to mention both Tweenix Racing cars are in this race. He and Dylan Poteet in the 31, who's somewhere in the field. And McLeod led that first lap. And here comes Tim Fiegel and Dylan Young. Dylan Young in the 2, Tim Fiegel in the 15, as Young's getting help from Jay Jefferson on that inside. And actually, I'm kind of surprised right there. It looked like that outside of that 3-wide situation, they were able to move down off of the wall, which I guess because of the fact that it's nighttime and there's more grip, they are more capable of trying to stay off the wall off of 2. Perhaps that is the situation right now, is Dylan Jacobs going to try and lead this lap, but McLeod got a run, very strong run on the outside, and I think he still led that lap, the 51, and in fact he did. Trent Dunham in the number 1 for Sega Motorsports. He's now working his way up here, and of course, this man has been known to have a curse with the Daytona 500 and other series. Although he did eventually win a Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500, to my knowledge, I don't think he's ever won a Daytona 500 on this channel. Could this year be the year he breaks that curse? Highly doubtful, but you never know. As Dylan Young on the inside with help from the 09 of Rafael Leduc. But yeah, it's actually kind of looking more like the outside lane starting to get the more bigger high-speed runs off of corners than we saw in duel number 1. Perhaps because of the fact the track was so slick in duel number 1. Apparently some drivers were able to grip well on the inside, whereas here at night, the outside lane's getting the more momentum off of corners and able to keep spots, as McLeod still hanging on strong.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem with the cooler temperatures, the tires grip better to the outside line. Maybe you get a better run, as that's what most of these drivers are trying to do. As immediately as I say that, it looks like the 78 and the 87 teammates there are going to the inside to pass James McLeod.
Yeah, both Kamikaze Racing teammates and good friends, Dylan Jacobs and Jay Jefferson. They would have liked to have had their third teammate, Jordan Forbes, in this race, but he was in duel number 1 and finished strong in duel number 1, and he's going to have a nice starting spot for tomorrow at Daytona for the Daytona 500. But now Jay Jefferson has the race lead, as here comes Leduc, but also Jake Baskinger and Anthony McCrory. Anthony McCrory with that push from Bradley Zordragger, as Zordragger with a huge evasive maneuver to try and go to the inside. They're 3 wide for the lead. Wow, the 66 really forced it on the inside, and it paid off, because now he's leading the way. Zordragger channeling his inner death metal aggression and channeling it out here on the racetrack, and now he's got the race lead. As Bud, here comes Matt McIntyre in the 14 with, well, he had help from teammate Jonathan Zorline, but the 14 got left hanging, and look at the run the 41's got on the middle.
That is quite the impressive run by the 41. However, the question remains, is he still going to keep that run going? Is he going to keep that momentum going?
It looks like he is. He's got the lead
and looks
now.
like he will.
That has to be perhaps the move of the race so far, right there, through the middle, up to the top, and takes the race lead. And now here comes Rob Evans in the 88. He has no teammates to help him in this race because Johnny Gardner was in duel number 1. But right now, Rob Evans got a little bit of a gap right now, but now that eventually closed up as, well, there was debris off of 2, but no caution, right? Because you don't need it. But nonetheless, Rob's still leading, but 3 wide for, about to be for second, maybe, I don't know. McLeod in the middle, Zorline up high, and Benjamin Miles on the inside. Dylan Poteet trying to push the 22 up here, but it's not really working out for him, as from what you can see, that outside lane is really, really strong so far tonight. But now here comes McLeod, who's been up here in the top 5 pretty much all race long, trying to retake the lead. And let's see, according to scoring, where Dylan Jacobs currently runs. He was last scored 16th, but still on the racetrack. And that's all the 78 really has to do is just stay on the racetrack. And he'll get to keep his second starting spot for tomorrow. But Rob Evans keeping that outside line running very, very strong, as he's going to lead this lap and maybe even clear the 51. Helicopter view, yes, he would clear him.
Might have gotten shuffled out of line there. I'm not sure if that's exactly what the 88 wanted to do, or if he wanted to maybe get a run off of the 51, as it looks like he's going to go high down the back straightaway.
As meanwhile, the Tweenix teammates of McLeod and Poteet starting to work together, as Fiegel's getting a push from Zachary Fitzwater in the 12, who in turn is getting pushed by Cole Deaver right behind him. Seth Cole right there running in the very back. Perhaps he's maybe playing possum a little bit and just waiting for the right moment to run up to the back bumper of somebody and then start working his way, as there's still plenty of time, 6 more laps left. That is if there's no phantom caution on lap 12 again. But McLeod back up to the lead, as now it's looking like it's the inside lane starting to kick back in a little bit. Perhaps now that the tires are starting to wear a little bit, perhaps now the inside lane is the preferred lane to be in. And from what you can see, we have, like I've said earlier and so far all week, that inside line likes to hug that double yellow line quite a good bit. As James McLeod has been by far perhaps the dominant car of the night so far, but he's not had an easy ride trying to hold that lead, as here comes Cole Deaver in the number 8 Mountain Dew Chevy for Michael Norman Motorsports, running hot behind in second. But Bradley Zordrager, man, you just can't get rid of this guy. He's now up here trying to take third away from the defending series champion.
As he was trying to get under the 8 of Cole Deaver there, it doesn't look like he was quite able to do it. Is he going to duck low? I think he's just going to wait it out.
Stay outside.
Yep.
And Tim Fiegel was leading the charge on the inside, at least until the 8 decided to come down and shut the door on that momentum. But now the outside lane's starting to kick in again, as McLeod continuing to hang on strong. Double check the pace car, we're still green, because we're at that dreaded lap 12 where in Duel 1 we had the phantom caution. But we're pretty much safe for now, as here comes McCreary, who we've not talked much about tonight. He's found his way back up here towards the front, up to second. Dylan Young behind him with Jake Baskinger trying to push him. DJ Curtis in the 4 stuck in the middle right now. Not good for that 4 car right now, but battle for the lead ongoing. The 61 of McCreary to the inside of the 51 of McLeod. And McCreary's going to get help from Rafael Leduc in the 09. And Rafael Leduc, he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, considering that he's now in a new team. Left Kamikaze Racing last season to join Retro Racing Enterprises. And right now up here in second, as both he and the 61 trying to block all 3 lanes to keep the spots that they're currently in. Leduc to the inside, but doesn't get the spot at the line, but less than 2 to go. Still plenty of time for anyone to get up here to the lead. Leduc now trying to hope for a big push from somebody. He might get it from Trent Dunham. And Leduc, can he clear the 61? No, he doesn't have him cleared. In fact, he might get stuck in the middle 3 wide, as here comes Trent Dunham with help from Matt McIntyre and Rob Evans. Oh no, they're 3 wide, several rows deep. Anything can happen as we're coming off of 4 and getting ready to take the white flag. And the white flag is getting ready to wave here for duel number 2.
Let's see if Trent Dunham can hold him back. maybe win one of the duels here as he goes
I
to
don't
the
know, as
outside.
here comes Rob Evans, who had a
Oh,
huge
boy.
head of steam. Rob Evans in the 88 with a huge run, but a couple other cars starting to reel him in, Dylan Poteet being one of them. That is if he doesn't allow that inside line to kick in, and he's leaving too much room for that 66 Zord Dragger to get underneath, and he's there. That might have just sealed the deal. That might have just handed the win to the 88. As we're getting ready to come off of turn 4 for the final time tonight, nobody's going to be able to make a move. Checkered flag is getting ready to wave. Rob Evans wins Gatorade Duel number 2 and is going to start 4th in the Daytona 500. What a job by that 88 team. Managed to get up there when the timing was right and gets his first win of the season despite it being non-points. Congratulations to Rob Evans for winning Gatorade Duel number 2. As we look at the rest of the results, Jay Jefferson with a strong run in the second spot who kind of came out of nowhere at the end. Bradley Zordragger, solid performance in third. Excuse me, as Dylan Jacobs is going to be safe to start second tomorrow for the Daytona 500. And then Tim Fiegel rounding out the top 5 and 5th, Dylan Poteet in 6th, Jonathan Zorleen 7th, Michael Norman 8th, Zachary Fitzwater 9th, and then DJ Curtis rounding out the top 10. And I guess Seth Cole just completely lost the draft as he finished last and was nearly 16 seconds back, so he's going to start dead last in the Daytona 500, so that 98 car is going to have a lot of work ahead of him tomorrow, for sure. But, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for our coverage for our third event of Daytona Speedweek, the Gatorade Duels, and I would like to thank Cole Baker for stopping by the booth, and I wish him good luck tomorrow.
All right, there we go. Thank you very much.
But until we get to tomorrow's race, here are your final results for duel number 2, as well as the final lineup for the Daytona 500. And until then, this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.